Welcome to Family Care Navigators, the podcast where we empower you with the knowledge, support, and resources to navigate the challenging yet rewarding journey of caring for your loved ones. I'm Bill.
And I'm Stephanie.
We are thrilled to be your guide on this journey.
Together, we'll explore the emotional, practical, and logical aspects of caregiving, from hiring the right help to choosing the best care facility and everything in between. Whether you're a seasoned caregiver or just starting out, this podcast is here to provide you with valuable insights and heartfelt stories that resonate.
Let's dive in and navigate this journey together. Welcome to Family Care Navigators, the podcast where we talk you through every step of the caregiving journey. We are your host. I am Bill.
And I'm Stephanie.
And today we're addressing one of the most difficult moments in life, losing a loved one. You know, it's an emotional time, and while grieving is deeply personal, there are also practical steps that need to be taken. Our goal today is to guide you through the steps with care and compassion, offering clarity during this challenging time. But Stephanie, you know, there are so many different steps you need to take in this caregiving journey when you're losing a loved one. Why don't we talk about some immediate steps to take?
Well, you know, it is overwhelming when you lose a loved one. And the first thing that you need to do, first of all, is confirm the death. Now, that sounds a little funny, but if they pass in a hospital or hospice, medical staff is going to take care of all of that.
Right.
But if they pass at home, let's say that they're elderly and they don't wake up the next morning, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to need to call 911 or your local emergency services and have a medical professional confirm the death. Hospice nurses, they can also assist with that. And I think it's really important when this happens that you actually sit there with the body,
Right.
with the person. You need to absorb this. This is a tremendous loss. And I think so many times we get anxious and we just want to rush right through it. But I will say that some of the best things that we ever did, it was different with your mom. She was in the hospital, and we didn't stay with her. They
didn't allow it.
it was kind of strange.
Yeah, pronouncement was there. They were like, "Okay, we need you to move," and you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
"Hey, what?"
But then when my dad passed, we were all there, and we hung out for a while.
Yeah,
And
it was a great experience with the hospital we dealt with, because they were like, "Okay, you just take your time. You're okay. Don't rush through this. Reflect as a family. And when you guys are ready, somebody come out and tell us you're ready."
Right. And then when my mom passed, she was here in our home, and she was under hospice care. And we, after she passed, we just sat with her. We just sat with her and held her hand. And, you know, we were just there in the moment. And then we called hospice, and they sent someone and they pronounced her. And then we had to wait about 3.5 hours for the funeral home to arrive because they called the funeral home for us.
Right.
And so, but honestly, those 3.5 hours, I'm thankful for that time because it really does help you to decompress.
Yes.
And so there's some settlement in those few moments. So the first thing is confirm the death, and you know, might be a medical professional. And then you're going to need to call close friends and family. Now, this can be an extremely difficult task.
Oh, it was very hard with me, with Mom, because I was charged with the duty, basically, of saying, okay, when Mom passes, you're to call all the brothers and sisters. I'm not. You said, I'm not calling them. I need you to take charge of that. And I'm like,
Right.
Okay. And yeah, that's a very hard call to make, because, I mean, when Mom passed, it was like 3 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
roughly in there. And you're like, 3 o'clock in the morning, do I really want to call everybody, or do I
Right.
want to wait? I mean, because your brother lives Colorado,
Right.
and we're on the Eastern time zone.
Right.
He's in Mountain time zone.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, do I call, do or not? But I thought to myself, no, he wouldn't want to know immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And if he didn't know immediately, he would be mad at me.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what I did not want. I mean,
Right.
I wanted him to, know, hey, mom is gone.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and he was great. He's like, call me anytime.
Right.
Even
Absolutely.
before, he's like, call me, call us anytime.
Right.
The entire family was like, call us anytime. But calling everybody, I mean, going from Mountain Time to Central Time to Eastern Time, calling family.
Mm-hmm.
It was rough.
Yeah. And sometimes if you have a really close family friend,
Mm-hmm.
they could call
Right.
and they could give that information. And,
But they better be really close family.
yeah,
friends. Because that's
absolutely.
a lot of pressure to put on a friend to say, hey, I need you to call all my siblings.
Absolutely.
And, let them know the family members passed.
That's right.
Because it's a tough call.
That's exactly right. And then after the medical professional and after the close family and friends, then you want to call the funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
If they are not in a hospital,
Right.
then you will be responsible to call the funeral home and let them know that that your person has passed.
Right.
And then they will come and take care of everything. So this is where it's really important to know this is a little bit of pre-planning that
Right.
truly needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, sometimes it's an immediate, unexpected death, right? So you haven't even had these conversations. But then again, we should be having these kinds of conversations. Where do you want to be? And those are legitimate questions. And that kind of planning will help
Mm-hmm.
when this moment comes.
Right.
So we knew who to call.
Right.
In both situations, in all three situations, we knew who to call. Now,
We had a little surprise with my mom.
exactly.
Because we thought everything had already been prepaid. So don't assume that everything's taken care of. Don't
Yes.
assume that because, the loved one will say, oh, yeah, I got that taken care of. I got that taken care of. They may have taken care of it for a short period, but then failed to continue that and something stopped and you don't know it. So you're just assuming, hey, all of this is already taken care of. Here's who I'm calling. It's going to be fine. Because when that happened with my mom, we made that phone call. They came, got her. The next morning when we met with the funeral home, it's like, hey, I'm sorry to tell you, but nothing was prepaid.
Right.
It's like, what?
Right.
They like, yeah, it was only prepaid for X amount of time.
Right.
Then after X amount of time, yeah, it wasn't there.
Exactly. And so what we should have done, but we didn't know to do.
No.
Right.
No.
So we're trying to teach you from our experience.
Yeah.
So what we should have done was once mom had gotten sick
Mm-hmm.
and we realized, hey, this might be a journey.
Yes.
And we don't know how long we have with her. We should have gotten all of her paperwork together. And we should have contacted the funeral home and we should have asked them for her prepaid plan so that we were prepared and not in shock.
Yeah, I mean, we weren't saying that. We're not saying that. Oh, hey, your family member goes into hospice or whatever, and they're going to pass or whatever immediately. I mean, like with my mom, we had no idea it was going to happen as quick as it did.
No, but we had 4 years prior with
Right.
her ill.
Right. We had 4 years prior with her ill, and we thought, oh, this, she'll work her way out of it. And then when it didn't work her way out of it, that's one thing, like you said, we failed to look at.
We had gotten all of her other paperwork
Yeah, everything
together.
else was together, but that one thing,
Right,
we missed that one thing.
right.
And that was a crucial swing and a miss.
Absolutely. So but that's your first steps. Those are the very first things because we've had people ask us, what do we do?
Yeah.
And what are we going to need? And how does this work? So that's why we are doing this segment today.
Right. To we've gotten feedbacks like, hey, can you all talk about this? Like, sure, absolutely. We will.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah, in talking about, we were talking about documents just a minute ago and looking over the documents, get those documents together, those important documents, because those papers will help you settle the loved one's affairs, fulfill their final wishes. And so let's kind of walk through what you'll need and why they matter, Stephanie. I mean, we're looking at legal documents like wills and trusts. Now, these outline your loved one's wishes for their estate, things including who would receive the belongings and who will manage their affairs, different items like that. And power of attorney.
Mm-hmm.
That power of attorney, a lot of folks, say, I'm the power of attorney for her or for him.
Mm-hmm.
Not many people realize that when that loved one has deceased, it's over.
Right.
Power of attorney is done.
Right.
You're no longer, as the power of attorney was signed, but it ends at death. And it still can provide some clarity about the prior decisions and intentions, but that just means no.
That's exactly right.
It's over.
Now, the other thing is an advance directive.
Right.
So these might offer insight into their end of life care, their wishes, and sometimes it has their funeral and memorial decisions in it.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to have all of those documents collected prior to, because you're going to be emotional.
Yes.
You're going, and we don't realize how grief truly affects us. And we don't realize how it just completely shatters our emotions and our nerves and the stress levels that you're under.
Oh, absolutely.
And so if you can collect these documents prior to, you are much better off.
I mean, because you look at some of the advanced directives, like a DNR, a do not resuscitate.
Right.
You need to know that. You need to know, is my family member, something happens, do they want to be resuscitated, or they're like, let me be.
Right.
Let me go.
Right.
Because that DNR, if you know about it or you don't know about it, that's one thing they're going to ask you in the hospitals. Do they have a DNR?
Mm-hmm.
And you can answer that with firm belief, yes or no.
Exactly. And it's something that you should carry. If you are the caregiver, you should carry that around. I used to carry my mom's living will around, her advance directive around with me all the time.
Yeah.
And then here at the house, hospice knew it, but we had to call EMS a few times.
Yeah.
And they didn't know it.
Yeah.
And so we had it posted.
Yes.
Because it's really important. If you happen to not be home and emergency care shows up for them, they need to know, do they have a DNR?
Yeah.
It's hugely important.
Yeah, because maybe you have somebody coming in and sitting with the family member, a friend has said, hey, I'll come sit with the family member for a while you guys go out, or you go out and do shopping, have a date night, whatever. But you also need to tell that person that they're sitting there where it's located. But if you don't, I mean, great place to post it. EMS, I understand, starts looking on refrigerators first, which you would think, okay, that's kind of odd. But no, it's a great place to post something, and post it really big and bold where it says it. So that way they know, oh, I can take this off and use it to whatever needs I need. I need to do right at that time.
Well, and really and truly, you were talking about having people there in your home helping you care for them and you be gone. You really should have an emergency booklet, and there is one on our website under our resources tab. It's free to you. Please go download it.
Absolutely.
It gives all the phone numbers and information. Put it in a 3-ring binder and put it with your person. Let them know, let your caregiver know, hey, here's the binder. And this has all the important phone numbers and information in it. And put a copy of their DNR in there. Put a copy of their medication list in there. Because if they do get called away to the hospital, they can take that binder right with them.
Yeah, they can pack it up and go.
Exactly.
Yeah. So a couple other things to talk about, too. Social Security cards. I mean, many folks aren't issued them a lot anymore, but a lot of people in their older years have been issued those Social Security cards. It's crucial for notifying the Social Security and accessing certain benefits with Social Security, because there are benefits that you don't need to miss out on. Also, that birth certificate, some institutions may require this to confirm your loved one's identity, because a lot of folks, you know,
Mm-hmm.
they say they're one person, but, you never know.
That's right.
They think so. And also, maybe a marriage certificate or a divorce decree. These can be essential for settling spousal benefits, property disputes, different items like that. So make sure you have those as well. And also, if they like to travel a lot, passports. That passport can be helpful if your loved one has international accounts or obligations in an international realms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because a lot of folks, you never know.
Well, and a lot of people travel for business, so
Right.
you don't know what they have
Accumulated over the years.
accumulated over the years.
Yeah, because they
Exactly.
could have had something and not known. Hey, I created this account or whatever. They knew they had it.
Right,
They knew it was there.
right.
But find that document that they may, talk to them. They may say, "Oh yeah, I've got this document where I've got the, whatever
Mm-hmm.
whatever country." So, and of course, financial information like bank account details, the insurance policies, that is a big one. What kind of life insurance policy do they have? What kind of health policies do they have? Auto insurance potentially.
Mm-hmm.
There may be a rider with auto insurance. You never know. They'll help you when you file the claims and access benefits. Those folks will help you out greatly. And of course, those retirement accounts, the IRAs, the 401s, the Roths, the pensions, benefits that talk about beneficiaries. I mean, look at that. Look over it before anything happens.
Mm-hmm.
Because while they're in their right mind, your person may be in their right mind. If they want to change anything, then's the time to change it. Because once they have any type of mental instability,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to be able to change it.
Correct.
Because they look back so many years.
Mm-hmm.
And when they look back so many years, if that person is not on there, they're going to say, this is a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to look at that. And, of course, deeds and titles, essential for transferring ownership of homes, vehicles, other assets. Yeah.
It's vitally important. Honestly, my brother came home, a couple years before my dad passed.
Mm-hmm.
And he went through every piece of paper he could find. And, my mom and dad said, well, this is where we keep everything. So he went through everything, every envelope, every account. But it was great because he made a list of everything. He pulled out every policy. He called every life insurance, all of the things. He called them all, verified that the funds were still in operation, the whole 9 yards. So this is actually, if you have done your prep work, you could have this all in a firebox and just pull out the binder and say, here's everything.
Right.
And that's when mom passed, that's what we did.
Right.
Because everything was in the binder, everything was in the firebox. And that's what we did when dad passed. And what we did when your mom passed.
Right. Everything was right there, handy. We didn't have to worry about it. We knew we could pull the binder, take care of what we needed to do.
Exactly.
And it was A, B, C, all the way from A to Z. It was
That's
taking
right.
care of us. And, of course, talk about the death certificate stuff.
Listen, I'm telling you, the death certificate is going to be very, very important. You're not going to be able to close an account. You're not going to be able to call and get information. You're not going to be able to do anything without a death certificate. So I always advise people to get at least 10 copies. And you're like, Stephanie, 10 copies?
Yeah.
Why do I need 10 copies? Because everybody's going to want a copy.
Oh, yeah. And they want to keep it.
Yes, exactly. They want to keep it on file. So do yourself a favor. And when you are at the funeral home, they're going to say to you, how many copies of the death certificate do you want? And normally it takes about a week to get them.
Right.
So you're going to order them like on the day that you're planning the service. And then probably by the time the service is over, maybe a couple days, then they will be back. And they go to the funeral home. And so you have to go to the funeral home and pick them up.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, get yourself 10 copies because they want the original copy, right?
Right.
They want that.
They don't want to duplicate a
No,
copy.
no, no. They don't want you to make a copy of it. They want the
Yeah.
original. And so they're not expensive, but you are going to need them because you can't do anything
But-
without it.
But here's the thing. It doesn't matter how much they truly cost. They are valuable.
Yes.
I mean, it's a minor expense
Yes.
for what you're going to have to go through. Because
Mhm.
if you have to go back and say, hey, I want more copies of the death certificate,
Right.
that takes even longer.
Absolutely.
So get them all
So-
up front.
Absolutely. So then once you have your documents in hand, so now this time you've gone through the funeral,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're going to start making these contacts. I mean, honestly, as soon as the person dies, you're going to call friends and family, right? You're
right.
going to notify them. If your person was still employed, you need to call them immediately,
Yeah.
right? And you need to let them know. And you also need to ask about wages and benefits, unpaid things, what they have available through the workplace. You might be surprised
True.
at what the company offers.
Yeah.
So you need to do that, and that's prior to the funeral as well. That's just as soon as possible. Financial institutions, they're a little tricky, right?
we think it's real easy because we're in there every week.
Exactly.
You see them, you talk to them, and all that. No, it's not as easy as you're going to think.
No, it's not. So you need to contact the banks. Normally, the banks get a list of the obituary every morning. Okay. So anyone that has passed, they normally get a list of it, and then they do what's called freezing of accounts. The only way to avoid a freezing of an account is to have your name on that account.
Right.
So if Bill had an account with only his name on it and my name wasn't on it, I could not access it as his wife
Right.
without the death certificate.
Mm-hmm.
But if my name were on that account, then that makes me a joint owner and I can access the funds in that account.
Everything stays fluid.
Correct.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with frozen accounts.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be aware of that. It's amazing to me the number of people. I used to be a teller, and they would walk in and say, hey, I need to draw this money out. Mom died yesterday. I'm sorry, your name's not on the account. But I'm the executor of the will. It doesn't matter.
Right. I need the proper paperwork.
Correct.
I need to have the death certificate. I need to have this. I
Absolutely.
need to have that. Yeah, the list just starts growing and growing.
Exactly.
And then you get frustrated.
Yes, you do. That's
And-
right.
And I know it's hard to take a death with a family member or whatever. It's very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And you can get very frustrated with that person you're trying to clear up everything with. But they are doing their job.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
they have guidelines, they have procedures they have to follow. Because truly, if they don't follow their guidelines and procedures, just like any workplace,
Mm-hmm.
they could lose their job.
Absolutely. So in your emotions, don't let it get the best of you, I guess is what Bill's
Yeah,
really
That's
saying.
what I'm trying to say.
So your banks, your credit unions, your credit cards, your credit card companies, they're going to freeze the accounts. The minute that person passes, that account is frozen. Okay? You cannot access it.
No.
It's not yours to use or access. And what will happen is you will have to provide a death certificate in order to get these accounts reopened.
Even to settle it.
Yeah, even to settle it, pay off
Yeah,
any debt.
pay off
That's
any debt,
exactly
yeah.
right. Now, insurance providers, you're going to want to contact them. You want to notify the life insurance companies. Once again, they're going to require a death certificate. And
And you may have 4 or 5 different life insurance policies with different companies.
correct. Now,
Think about that.
sometimes if there is a life insurance policy and you have the and you are at a funeral home,
Mm-hmm.
many times you can take that life insurance policy, the paperwork, and you can take it to the funeral home and they will contact the life insurance
Sure.
company
Right.
for you.
Right.
And a lot of times what happens is they, and a lot of people ask how this works. So the funeral home has you sign a document that says that this account will cover the cost of the services if it is not prepaid, and the remaining balance will go to the estate of this person.
Right.
So they will contact the insurance company for you.
Mm-hmm.
But even at that, they have to have a death certificate.
Right, exactly.
So it takes a few days. So make sure that you get all of that in order. And then your government
Yep. Contact the government.
administrations.
Yeah,
Yes.
Social Security. I mean, letting them know again they will need a death certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to need that. And something that you dealt with a lot with your dad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he served in World War II.
Mm-hmm.
So there were benefits, VA benefits.
Yes.
That, explain a little bit about that.
Sure. So there is a burial benefit. It's not very much. It's like $250 or something like that. But still, it was a
helps.
benefit. Yeah.
But there's also that benefit, too, that sometimes they will bury, if it's a sudden death and you don't have burial plots for that person that you're grieving, the military will bury them in a military cemetery.
Absolutely. And that's actually something we did not know when my
Yeah.
dad passed, that he could have been buried in the Veterans Cemetery.
Right.
And if he had a spouse, which he did, and the spouse died later, the spouse would have been buried on top of him.
Mm-hmm. Right
And
together. Yeah.
they would have had headstones provided all by the military. So that's really something that you need to look into if you have a veteran that passes away. The other thing is Dad was receiving a VA benefit,
Right.
and we had to let them know that he no longer, not to deposit it into his account because he
Right.
was no longer living.
Yeah.
And
Because you don't want to see that money in there and go, oh, this is free money.
right, no, it's not free money. No.
I mean, because once they find out, if it's for months on top of months that you don't notify them,
Right.
guess who has to pay that all back?
Correct. And trust me, they will find out.
Oh, yeah.
And so then the other thing is your utilities and your subscriptions. If they had utilities in their name, if they had subscriptions in their names, all that has to be canceled. And all that has to be taken care of. And then lastly, contact your estate attorney or the executor of the will.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They are responsible for overseeing probate, paying debts, and distributing assets. And if you're unsure where to start, consult an estate attorney for guidance. We've had some on our podcast.
Right.
It is very important to get correct legal advice.
Right. Yeah, check out those attorneys. They are valuable. I mean, they may go ahead and set you up with everything and have the binder for you.
Yes.
And once you get that binder, like we talked about, we opened the binder, boom, and the attorney was in that list of people to call.
Right. And then our attorney said, with Mom, just said, call me when she passes, Stephanie, and we'll handle things. And they did.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to give it any more thought because it was already planned. So those are the things that you need to do immediately when someone passes. And listen, it's going to be a hard time.
Yeah.
And you're going to be overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And that is okay. You can reach out. You can ask for help. I will guarantee you that someone in your circle has already been through this.
Yes.
Let them help you. And if they haven't, you can contact us.
Mm-hmm.
Our website's up. Our phone number's there. Our email's there. We are going to be happy to help you, to answer any questions, to kind of handhold you through this.
Yeah.
Because it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal. And even after, like you said, it's all said and done with your friends and family, if you think I can't do anymore, I am at my wit's end, find a grief support group and plug in.
Mm-hmm.
Because those grief support groups, they're trained. Folks there are trained to talk about grief support.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd have done that
Mm-hmm.
back in the day when my mom passed.
Mm-hmm.
I truly wished I'd have done that. but I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just encouraging you that if you think, oh, no, I can get through this, no,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot get through this alone. You and your spouse, you and your family can't get through it alone.
No.
You have to have that support.
Right. And you don't have to do everything at once.
Yeah.
So take breaks, delegate some of these tasks. You don't have to do everything.
Right.
And be kind to yourself.
Very important.
Listen, this is a marathon. This is not going to be over with immediately.
No.
Right? This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's okay to move at your own pace. You will make it through, and don't become discouraged.
Yeah, don't at all. So, well, we got to wrap it up for this episode of Family Care Navigators. I hope we have brought you some peace of mind and practical helps during a difficult time in your life. And if you found this episode helpful, please share this with someone who might need it. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast so you'll never miss an episode. And for more resources like we talked about earlier, visit our website or connect with us on social media. And as always, remember to take care of yourself while you care for others.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Family Care Navigators. We hope you found today's discussion insightful and empowering. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. Our community is here to support you every step of the way.
If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with others who might benefit. Visit our website and follow us on social media for more resources and updates. Until next time, stay strong, stay compassionate, and keep navigating with love. I'm Bill.
And I'm Stephanie.
Take care and see you soon.